But they would also have thought that releasing that document to that committee as a committee in the House, they have released it to the House, as it were, and your committee could also have got the documents from there.
Then they should have informed us that this document has already been given to a particular committee. We can now liaise with that committee, and this issue wouldn't have been an issue at all.
Well, I'm trying to go through the document here, and what I found out is that, well, we have to still talk about the names you uncovered concerning those denationalization of AfriBank, and which is very shocking here. And you say a private company with a share capital of 100,000 ordinary shares of #1 each, owned by just two persons, Gideon Agbedo, a lawyer, and a certain Innocent Obi.
Exactly.
So in other words, it means that a publicly quoted company is acquired by a private company owned by just two individuals.
Yes. That is exactly our findings, and that informed our decision, or rather our suggestion to the House that there was an unwholesome, or rather illegal taking over of the so-called failed banks.
Well, there are so many names there, which makes, Mark started by saying that some have been complaining that even though that the issue at stake, which you finally talked about in your report, they were not there at the helms of affair, you still think that these people are liable or culpable, or they should proffer some kind of explanation to the people?
Obviously they should. These banks were purported to have been failed banks, and investors' money were there. We are concerned about investors that lost their money.
What about but the CBN has made it very clear that, with all due respect to investors, their concern is with the depositors, not the investors. That as with every other business, when you invest your money into a business, you're taking a risk. Chances are that the business can either do well or not do well, and that is the risk that an investor takes. So the question will be, if the depositors' monies are safe, and the people who put their monies in those banks, who help the business grow, still have their monies, shouldn't that just be part of the risk that the investor has taken?
Investors are very, very relevant and germane. If they had not invested, depositors will not have brought their money. And we are saying that the Investment and Securities Act adequately provides for compensation to investors. This aspect was neglected, was utterly neglected by CBN and NDIC, and their focus, well, I can't blame them, was on depositors' money rather than investors' money. And that is why we now blamed SEC for shrinking from its responsibility. It should have equally insisted that, look, just as you are operating within the purview of a law, we equally have a law that protects investors' interests.
They say that you've recommended some amount of money to be paid to investors. Did you make any such recommendation?
There was no such recommendation.
But assuming investors are to be compensated, how would you say that they be compensated? Should they be compensated the same way the depositors were compensated, by making sure that the investment remains the same?
There's a bailout for the banks, and there are suggestions during our sittings that a bailout should be made to the capital market. But we didn't want to make a blanket recommendation. We now said that in future, if a bailout is planned for either the banks or the capital market, then a formula should be put in place. We have to investigate who are those investors, how much is their interest. Let us know the quantum of the losses that have been incurred. Unlike, we were not given details of what happened in the failed banks, but 620 billion was injected into the failed banks. We don't know how much a particular individual or an institution owns. So, in order to forestall this kind of blanket releases of funds, and we also want to know what are the sources of this, money. Has it been appropriated by the National Assembly, or did they just print it? And are we allowed to just go and print money and then inject it into a particular sector? What is its effect in the economy?
Let's take a look at recommendation 23. You say here that all former bank executives who are recipients of national honors who are currently being prosecuted for crimes and unethical practices which led to the collapse of their banks be stripped of the national honors by the President Commander-in-Chief in line with Section 7 of the National Honors Act and international norms. Well, it continues, but let's just take a look at that. Some people have said that that recommendation could also be sub judice, that it could in some ways influence, since some of them have not been proven guilty, others have, but some have not been proven guilty, and the matters of those ones who have not been proven guilty, it could be sub judice. Do you agree?
Well, this is not a facting issue. The fact remains that some people were found culpable. Yes, we agree the Constitution under Section 36 stipulates that somebody or any person accused of committing a crime is presumed to be innocent until the contrary is proved. Yes, we agree. But Nigerians are very aware of the fact that these people, some people were found wanting. They were even convicted. We all know. So such people should be stripped of their national honor. Section 7 is very clear that if for any reason the president finds out that somebody has acted contrary to expectation or contrary to those reasons that made the president to confer national honors on him, he can withdraw such honors. So it is within the purview of the law.
So it's a kind of recommendation.
It's a recommendation.